Hi, we're Steve and Audra. Over the past year, we've been converting our Ford Transit to a tiny home on wheels and traveling up and down the East Coast. We enjoy nature, observing wildlife, and exploring new places while trying to keep expenses at a minimum. The van has allowed us to explore despite COVID because it allows us to easily social distance and spend time outside. Our work allows us flexibility. We're able to travel and work while on the road. So far, we love having our van. Last week, we drove over to the Gulf side of Florida to enjoy some beaches and do some hiking and bike riding. We experienced some cold and windy weather, enjoyed some pretty sunsets, encountered wildlife, and had fun exploring Myakka State Park with Frankie and Alex of FNA Van Life. This week, the adventure continues. We're checking out Fort DeSoto State Park, exploring some beautiful preserves, looking for more wildlife, and sharing the perfect boondocking spot that we found right along the water. Make sure you're subscribed and join us for another van life adventure. It's another morning and we're off on another adventure. Today we're going to Fort DeSoto State Park, but first we are stopping at a preserve. We're going to make some breakfast and explore a little bit.
Per our usual, we try to find a park where we can find a spot, make some breakfast. This one wasn't quite what we expected, but I think it'll be kind of nice. We're going to open the slider door, set up our little table, and make some eggs and sausage.
It's a nice little spot for a breakfast. What do you think? It's not bad. Not what we expected, but
right.
You can
not
pull
your typical park with a picnic bench.
But you can pull right up and.
But this is pretty cool.
We can just sit right here in the van and look out and see nice water.
There's my spare tire. I was looking all over for that. It's not quite as cold as it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Definitely not as windy.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice.
All right, you want to get set up?
Yep. Like most things, we found this table alongside the road. Somebody was throwing it out, and it's been serving us pretty well.
Not the nifty lagoon table, but it works. And this is nice because we can use it in the van or outside the van.
All right, camp stove, come on.
Eggs. And we pre-cooked some sausage before we came. That you can just sit there in the van and cook.
It's a nice view to boot. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but there are 3 or 4 globby things floating down there. Audra thinks that's a living organism. I think it might be garbage. What do you guys think? Cooking in bare feet.
We also try to eat healthy while we're on the road. Fruits and vegetables and other things. Steve's trying to relive the pioneer days. Packing up?
Yep.
Alright, getting ready to head to the next spot. So typically we try to avoid tolls, but it would be quite a ways out of the way to get to our next destination. We'd have to go all the way up around, I believe it's Tampa Bay. And to go over this bridge is only $1.50, which is not bad at all. So today we're doing some tolls. Counting out your money?
Yep, it's been a long time since I've paid for a toll. Hey, good morning.
Hi.
Yep.
Alright, we're on our way. There's the bridge coming up. To get to the park, located at the southwestern tip of Pinellas County, we had to cross the Sunshine Skyway Bridge, which we were surprised was only a $1.50 toll. But then we also had to pay a couple additional small tolls and a $5 entrance fee to get into the park. So now we're heading out to the state park, and there's that bridge that we passed over earlier in the distance. Hoping this is worth it. We actually paid a few more tolls on the way over here than we expected.
Hello.
Hi. Fort DeSoto State Park is a sprawling 1,136 acres, made up of 5 interconnected islands, also called keys.
Cannon loaded, sir. Ready, aim, fire.
Audra, let me out.
Just use the door.
Bang, bang.
After goofing off at the fort, we decided to check out the rest of the park. It is home to several beaches, 2 piers, hiking and biking trails, natural areas, native plants, and more than 328 species of birds. Little kitty just came out of hiding. What are you doing, little girl? We are getting ready to go for a hike, but first we're gonna have a little snack. I'm here having my snack, and then this is what Steve's doing. Doing a little grooming. Getting all pretty. This is the Arrowhead Nature Trail. It says it's 1.5 miles long, however there's a shortcut trail that makes it a 1/2 mile long, and then there's a spur trail that adds a 1/2 mile. I think we're right here, and if we go to the right, I think we could just kind of not do this stuff and come, I think this would go along the water and come around, and that looks like that's just a 1/2 mile, I guess. Wanna try that?
Sounds good.
See if I can find The weather wasn't ideal for a beach day while we were there, but we enjoyed some of the trails through the natural areas. Cool. I think those are all white pelicans out there. That's so cool. It'd be nice to see them closer up. So many birds out there.
As we were walking earlier, Audra noticed that a lot of these dead palm trees had holes in them, and she wondered if there were screech owls or some other critters using it for a home base. As we circled around the other side of the stand of palms, we heard some birds calling out and soon realized they were parrots.
How cool is that? This is an absolute treat. When we were in San Francisco, I went looking for the parrots there. It have to be some kind of parrots. I'm not sure what kind. But we heard some birds coming. We saw them flying. There's like 3 or 4 of them. And it almost looks like they're feeding babies in the holes in the trees. When we were first walking in this area, I saw the holes and I thought, oh, there's got to be some birds in here. Never would have guessed it was parrots. I'm thrilled.
So we were just about ready to give this park about a C- until we happened upon some parakeets.
Well, some kind of parrot, I think. We'll have to look it up and see what kind they are. Yeah, I would say this park is kind of average feeling. I guess it depends on what you look for in a park. Maybe part of the reason is the water's all turned up, so the water around here is not so pretty, but for a park you pay to get into, I don't know. I don't feel like there's anything all that super special. Even the fort is just okay, I would say.
Right.
I feel like there's a lot of other places that are free that are better. I do think it's neat when areas do set aside large areas of land like this. I mean, I think that's quite the point of the state park and that people can enjoy it, but I feel like we've been to some other areas that are better, that's all. I don't know that we ever need to come back.
With those parrots.
Yes.
Were fun.
That was awesome.
Parrots? Parakeets.
I think parrots, some kind of parrot. Parakeets are smaller. So that definitely upped the grade because we love wildlife and I love parrots. So that was definitely cool. I'm really thankful we were here at the right time when they came in. We could have just missed them. So that was fun. Once again, there's the bridge we drove over earlier. It's kind of a nice view of it. So there's people fishing here, there's some wading birds. It's really shallow and actually calm over here. It's been windy all day, but this area right here must be protected. And it's pretty calm.
So this is the view from our van for the evening. Not too shabby. And we spotted a water spigot just off to our left. We'll have to give that a test and see if we can fill up some of our water jugs later. It's nice because we got cleaned up, we got a shower. We actually rode our bikes over to the campground, so that worked out pretty well. Feels good to be clean again. And this is a nice spot. It's pretty cold out today, but it's nice that we can just sit in the van and look out and have a nice view. Maybe we'll make some food here, maybe walk a little bit more. We'll have to see depending on how it feels outside. But right now it feels really nice in here, right here in the sun especially. I looked up the information to see what those birds were that we saw, and Steve was actually right. Technically they are parakeets. They're called Ende parakeets. They are parrots, but they're called parakeets. According to this, they're one of the older members of Florida's large and expanding exotic bird club, native to South America, but they have flourished in the wilds of Florida for nearly half a century. So back in 1969 they were introduced in the St. Petersburg and Pinellas County area. It says by the 1980s their numbers in the wild began to explode, and they started showing up in different parts of Florida, including Miami and as far north as Palm Beach County. So they might be the same kind of parrots that we have actually seen over on our side of Florida. But anyway, it was pretty neat to see them, and I think we may have seen a bald eagle today too. It was hard to tell though, and we couldn't get any footage, but it's been neat here, the wildlife and a lot of the water birds we've seen today. We just left the park and we found a little spot just over the bridge from the park to try to watch the sunset. Oh, four-wheeling.
Oh, it's a little bumpy here.
A little off-roading here, folks. Fasten your seatbelts. Look at this crater.
Oh my goodness.
Let's see if I can avoid that one. Just want to pull it in.
Yeah, sure. So there's the bridge we just crossed over. And we're gonna park here. Right here. I already showed him a peek. So that's probably a little bright for you, but here's where we're gonna watch the sunset. the same bridge coming up again. I need to look and see what bridge this is. I think it goes over maybe Tampa Bay. I think this might be considered. Not quite sure. We were planning to head up to Clearwater and St. Petersburg, but the weather's just not cooperating. So we are now heading back south to Bradenton, where we had been earlier. And then we'll head back home maybe tomorrow. What a beautiful night. So there's Fort DeSoto. You can see the flag. We just got off the bridge and there's a rest area and there's all these vans and RVs parked. You can tell they're in for the night. So this whole trip, yeah, they got their bump outs out. I don't know if you can see or not because it's so dark, but this whole trip we've just been staying at Cracker Barrels, but this looks like a pretty good place to stay for the night, and it'd be really nice to wake up in the morning and have this view out here.
So we're trying to decide if these people are staying for the night, if there's going to be any trouble, the late night knock on the door. So we're just kind of looking around and looking our side mirror, and this guy behind us has got a campfire going, so I don't think he plans on going anywhere. And there's got to be a dozen campers of various sorts all around.
So we're doing our first official boondocking.
Yep. So we got our battle plan just in case we get a late night knock on the door and they tell us to get out of here. We'll make our way to a Cracker Barrel, but I think we're going to try it. Our first night of boondocking. I've never enjoyed a campfire as much through a window in my life.
We've got the swivel seat working. I don't think we've talked about the swivel seat since we actually put it in. We are loving it. We do have to open our door just a little bit to swivel it around, but it really does make a big difference. And then we've got this table that we use for cooking and for working. What are you doing, Greg? Anyway, I'm going to do some work, and we're actually going to plug this into our outlet for the first time tonight. So that's something different too, and we'll see how the Delta handles it, because my battery's getting low. We've been playing cards, and our little girl has settled down. Found a cozy little spot. Isn't this a great spot?
It's $1 million view for free. There you go. Breakfast is served.
Thanks. Nothing like breakfast in bed with a view.
So this is where we spent the night last night, just off the main highway, in this nice little spot right by the water. It got a little chilly, especially for South Florida. It was in the mid-40s overnight, but the van stayed relatively warm at about 55 degrees or so. As you can see, we were certainly not alone. A lot of people have already cleared out this morning, but I would say there's a half dozen still remaining, or maybe 6. I think at its peak last night there was probably a good dozen or so people here. All in all, I believe our first boondocking experience was a good one. Can't beat this view.
Alright, and we're getting back on the road, leaving our little overnight spot that was pretty cool, and we're heading to explore Emerson Point Preserve, I think is what it's called. So this place was packed last night when we pulled in. Not quite as many people now today, but we're glad they were there. We would have known we could stay here. We've arrived at Emerson Point Preserve. This is a free park. I think with lots of different trails. I think you can ride your bike in here. There's an observation tower. And it's part of the Great Florida Birding Trail. So maybe we'll see more wildlife today.
Where's the speed limit sign? Oh, there it is. It's a wee little one.
Here's our spot for lunch.
So we're breaking out the solar panel for the first time to give this a test run. See what kind of power we can generate.
Woohoo! Yeah, it's a bright day.
Bright, sunny skies.
So this is a Renogy 120 volt or watt? Let's see.
It
or
is
100
watt.
100 watt. So we'll see what this does with our power unit.
All right, Audra's got it propped up alongside the van. I'll show you that here in a second. And at that position, looks like it's bringing in about 85 to now 90. So it says at this particular wattage, it's going to take 10 hours to recharge. So since we haven't permanently mounted this flexible solar panel, we're trying to be creative with it in ways to generate some energy while we are parked and going for a hike. So we threw it in the front windshield, and so draw some energy, but don't have to worry about someone coming and trying to steal the panel while we're away. In this position, it's getting about 20 watts. Not great, but better than nothing.
So here is the bridge. I finally know the name now. It's the Bob Graham Sunshine Skyway Bridge that we took last night, and then we stayed on this end. And now we've come down and we're out here where we made breakfast yesterday. It was up in this area, and I think this evening we're gonna kind of maybe come out here more down below. And we were also the other night at Anna Maria Island. That's where we watched the sunset, and there was a pier that we went out on. So we've basically been all around this whole area. Great trail.
parts of this trail not made for big guys.
This is the big guy part of the trail. It's a fun trail. A little hard to tell what part's the actual trail sometimes. It's pretty short, but there's cool things back here. Decided to slow down our pace a little bit and stay here pretty much for the whole day. Usually we'd be driving more and seeing some other spots. That is impacting our power source a little bit. We're getting kind of low on power, but we have the solar panel out. Steve's making our dinner.
Sausage and eggs for dinner. Sausage and eggs, and cheese, wrap.
Using up our food.
With an apple chaser.
As we finished dinner, we enjoyed the beautiful sunset, then drove back to the same boondocking spot at the Skyway Bridge for the second night. Another great morning. Sun shining. It's not as cold today.
Right, little girl?
Huh?
Hey, kitty?
Just cooking up some breakfast on the wild frontier. Caught me a rabbit last night. Looks a lot like sausage, never mind that, but trust me, it's rabbit.
It's crazy, you guys. He really is.
My mama had me tested. I'm not crazy.
A plate of eggs and an egg and sausage wrap. You may not believe it, but we really do eat other kinds of food. This trip, we've been mainly eating salads, soups, sandwiches, and eggs. We were nearing the end of our trip and trying to use up the food we had left. Kind of hard for being here. Steve's our dishwasher, usually. Although I did a little yesterday. It's a 5-van hotel. This place is pretty good. We rate it 5 vans.
So we enjoyed this spot so much, we decided to come back and spend the night here again. Got a few different neighbors. It's such a beautiful spot here, even despite all the traffic.
We're back on the road heading back to the east coast of Florida. We have been on the road for about 5 days exploring the west coast on the Gulf side of Florida. The temperatures were definitely cold. It was very windy. So our plans kind of changed as we went along. What we thought was going to be more of a little beach getaway exploring the coast turned into more of a wildlife experience. Kind of changing plans. Instead of going to the beach some of the days, checking out the preserves and the parks, and we saw some pretty great wildlife. I think the beauty of having a little tiny home on wheels is that we can just change plans as necessary. You know, if we didn't have this van and we were staying in hotel rooms, and sometimes you can change reservations, but a lot of times you can't. So it was really nice that, you know, originally we were going to start in Venice and work our way up the coast to Clearwater, and we decided, well, like 2 days ago, the last couple days that we were going to spend in Clearwater up in that area, just to kind of abort and go back another time when the weather was nicer. So I feel like it was really nice that we could do that with the van, just kind of change our plans mid-trip, and it ended up working out pretty well. That parking spot that we found was pretty great, and the Emerson Point Preserve yesterday was pretty nice too. So what was your favorite part of the trip?
Well, I certainly enjoyed some of the hikes we took and some of the wildlife we saw. It's always nice to, as you were building out the van, to see what works and see what doesn't, see what you can improve on. It was nice to get the solar panel out and goof around with that a little bit. It was nice to work with the refrigerator and see how well that does, supplementing it with ice, basically using it as a glorified cooler.
Yeah.
That works pretty well. So it was a nice trip in that regard. It's always nice to get away and change of scenery.
Even if it's not what you expect.
Right. I think finding that boondocking spot for a couple nights was
The base of the bridge.
at the base of the bridge was a definite bonus.
I think the highlight for me was seeing F&A Van Life, Frankie and Alex, and definitely the Parrots at Fort DeSoto State Park. That was unexpected, a fun little treat. We love wildlife, but I've always loved tropical birds, and that was really cool. I forget if I mentioned before, I used to have a lovebird when I was little and a cockatiel, so kind of enjoying seeing wildlife like that. I'm trying to think of my favorite spots. I think I wouldn't mind getting back to Venice sometime when the water's nicer, and maybe Siesta Key. We've been there too once before when it was like really crazy as far as traffic and parking. So maybe sometime like midweek when it's a little bit warmer. And I don't know, yeah, overall I think the trip was really nice. It was kind of a nice trip, like Steve said, to just experiment with our van system and kind of think things through before we start on the next step of building out the kitchen. So anyway, I think we're about 3 hours from our home base. We're looking forward to starting that next phase. And I will give this trip 4 vans.
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. 4 vans. That's our new rating system. Vans. That was Steve's idea. Wait for it. Boom. So this is Lake Okeechobee. I believe it's the largest lake in Florida.
If you look at the state of Florida on a map, it's the big hole kind of right in the middle.
Voila. Yeah, so it's pretty much right in the center of the state. Nice spot for a quick lunch break before we get going again for the rest of the trip home.
By the way, it was Audra's birthday on this trip, so wish her a happy birthday in the comments below.
We hope you've enjoyed coming along for the ride. Thanks for watching, and remember to click that thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss our weekly videos. Thanks, and see you next time.